Welcome back, everyone. This is Tak Oda, CIO of Attaché for Business, and I'm joined here with our HR expert extraordinaire, Lesa Hammond, and also our CEO. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit today, Lesa, if that's okay, about when you might want to go with an independent contractor. I know we've been talking about hiring employees, but at some point you decide maybe this isn't right as an employee. What are the cases where you would decide to go with a contractor?
So first, talk, I would say that when somebody is starting a company,
Hmm.
if at all possible, don't hire employees, hire contractors to start. Because you don't know exactly what you need until you start doing, until you really get into the business and start figuring out what skills you need from an employee.
Interesting. Okay.
You might know that you need somebody to help with social media. You're probably doing five different things
Hmm.
you're that take up your day, so you aren't able to focus on some of the things that would really move your business forward.
Right.
So those five things are those things you could offload. And I would say, if at all possible, offload those to independent contractors. And maybe it's five different contractors.
Right. Yeah, no, I think you're really hitting on an interesting point here, Lisa, because those five things you could be doing, none of those are full-time things
Right.
at least at first. So having to put in the effort of hiring somebody, making them an employee, and figuring out what your salary is for that person gets to be a lot for something that could be just done in a few hours a week.
Yeah. And if there are five, things that aren't all in one very distinct area,
Mhm.
then the person you hire may not be good at some of those. So
Right.
if you have, five different people that you're having do different things,
Hmm.
then you have that, you have the expertise where it's needed, as opposed to trying to make one
Right.
person fit all of it.
Right. That's a great point because I think what might initially turn people off the idea of contractors is there's like that slightly higher price tag per hour, right? And yet at the same time, you're bringing in someone who's already an expert at exactly what you want, so they can get it done a lot faster, and you don't have to pay them for as long because you don't have to think,
Right.
oh, this person's going to need 40 hours a week. I mean,
Right.
you end up
Or
paying a
even
lot
20.
less in the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even 20 or even 10. And the other thing
Right.
is, when you start thinking about paying a person, when you bring in an employee, you're paying their taxes, you're starting to pay workers' comp, you're paying a number of other ancillary things that you don't think about when you think about their hourly pay.
Right. I feel like there's a threshold, right? Especially where you're talking about these smaller businesses, especially starting out, where it's more important to be willing to go with contractors.
Yeah, I would say, and when you're starting out, you really want to go with contractors if at all possible. Yeah, there may be some places where the risk of having a contractor is too high. You want to have somebody who
Mhm.
is an employee because they're doing something, food service, for example. If you have a restaurant, you need to hire employees.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
if you have an office, you probably don't.
Interesting. Interesting. So it feels like there's not like a hard and fast threshold. It's more like each business has its own threshold that it recognizes when they start realizing that there's that cost benefit line is unique to each business, and they
Yeah,
have to recognize
absolutely.
that.
Yeah,
All right,
definitely.
cool. Well, this has been eye-opening for me, and I hope people have benefited from this conversation. So, what are the takeaways here? That especially when you're starting out, especially when you're a small business, it could really benefit folks to have contractors. But at the same time, you have to recognize when you've reached that point when it's no longer necessarily the best idea to have contractors either. It's not always a win-win.
And I don't want to leave before we say that there are actual rules from the IRS of who can be a contractor versus who needs to be an employee. And we can
Mm,
talk about that sometime later, but it's important to say that so that people don't think they can hire anybody as a contractor.
good point. Yeah, that's a whole conversation in itself. So thank you, Lisa. Well, and let's definitely pick up on that soon.
Right.
All right, thanks.
All right. Thanks, Doc.